Welcome to the Lungmen Dragon's 2nd year anniversary. To celebrate, we ran a special Niche Nights event in our brand new Discord server. 7 maps, customized with special challenges and tile bands. What you are watching today is a selection of the best clear in each map as well as our professional opinions on them. Please enjoy.
5-10 4-star snipers, the map that everyone thought would be the easiest. Turns out our community isn't very fond of 4 stars, so that was already a challenge by itself. We lifted the tile bans from the normal challenge, but even then, finding the solution didn't come so easy for Dusk. There are no other conditions to the map until Faust dies, so it's a very simple opening. But as soon as his arrows start raining on you, that's when the action begins, and it doesn't stop. Thankfully, as Dusk realized, Jessica has an amazing dodge chance on her skill too, which is in fact required for this clear. Now Dusk did something unexpected here, retreating everyone to save some time in DP. This wasn't needed, but an incredible find that could for sure help if someone ever wants to optimize this for some reason. We can also see Vermeil being utilized as the main DPS at some points, something that you can't see every day. I can say that warms my heart. Now the main challenge here is killing Faust, and the quickest option is indeed Daughter. But what we failed to realize is that Umbriel can also reach with her skill 1. During our runs, we had Daughter solo the boss, but this makes the kill much easier and more reliable. Now that Faust is dead, the conditions enter in effect. Only 3 deploy limit and you are not allowed to use safe tiles. You need everyone deployed in range of the ballistas. But even if that is the case, just some smart management brings Dusk to the end of this stage. What a great victory!
1P Relays, one of the most amazing Nation Art Nights, and that's totally not biased just because I'm a 1P player or anything. By the nature of the stage, you need to somehow deal with a massive amount of dodge, while still doing a relay. The natural solution to this are having enough CCs, or the ability to ignore dodge, unless you are unhinged enough to grind the RNG. But hey, 80% dodge means that you just have to roll the other 20%, right? The solution that this clear used for the boss second phase is the duo sniper, Posey and Schwarz. Their modules trivialize the enemies and boss gimmicks, namely the dodge, making them pretty powerful operators pick here. After dealing the next wave of mobs with enough crowd controls and burst damage, this clear used Rosa to start the phase 3. Rosa S3 is so good that it cuts the boss HP by half in only one skill cycle, while also keeping the boss in place, which makes it a pretty solid move to do. After that, they use Surtur to finish off the phase 3, of course, with the help of some Roomba to minimize the RNG as much as possible. On the next wave, they decided to flex their WS3 timings, stunning the invis enemy by refilling them at the last moment before the bombs go boom, which resulted in clearing all of the waves there. Next is my favorite part of the clear, a very tight Rosa S3 activation timings. This binds the boss and 3 dodges at the same time, which is pretty sick move to do. After clearing the rest of the waves, they pull out their Ash and literally go guns blazing to melt the rest of the boss HPs. Overall, it's a really sick clear. It has a lot of precise timings, really awesome, love this clear.
Unfortunately, Peloton was busy and couldn't comment on his bounty, which is why Thomas, will be doing it instead. But it was really surprising and funny to see someone go for the Therm route, because I know Peloton went for that route as well, and it required a lot of interesting tactics in order to make it happen. I will note that as I was watching his bounty, something that really surprised me was the usage of Manticore S1. So as you may know, one of the main challenges of this bounty is, on top of the tile ban from the regular clear, you now have the additional challenge that all you have to be using is S1s, and you have to somehow get rid of every single one of your operators at the end of the clear. And there's a couple of ways to do this, which we'll go into later, but the first thing you have to do is you actually have to be able to kill Mandragora. And over here, we saw some very surprising usage by NoManIsland of Manticore S1, together with the fact that Mandragora moves rather slowly with her laser attack, allowing him to use Rosa's S1 with her module to break Mandragora's phase 1 fairly easily. This is then followed by using powerful snipers like Firewatch and Schwarz for phase 2. After that, we get into the nitty-gritty details of the operator removal. NoManIsland made surprisingly good usage of Mandragora's phase 2 ability to have her knock down the pillars to remove his operators. And finally, for the stylish finish, he went for reusing Therm EX multiple times in order to kill off his operators as well as the device. Thanks to NoManIsland for solving this challenge in an interesting and creative way that we haven't really seen before.
The bounty was inspired after the CCA daily back in Fate Waves. That daily had 5 deploy limit, along with a lot of other annoying restrictions that made it hard to tank the enemy's hits. And basically I wanted to recreate that experience with this bounty, where like birds aren't really known for tanking, but they do have a lot of utility. So basically we start with Totter here, and this handles the first Sleepy Knight. If Totter is placed one tile to the right, this would also hit both knights, but this would involve an extra range unit to be deployed here to relay it. What Superblazeram considered is that like with the extra counter deployments to generate DP, Superblazeram can deploy Passenger a lot more earlier, and this allows to spawn camp the first Tola, and along with Gnosis deployments here to defend the mid lane and also help spawn camp this Tola, barely gets the kill before the backstab, and then uses Gnosis S3 to keep Tola in place, because this Tola actually routes straight towards the blue box and deploy a bunch of melee units all the way to the right side and sets up Puma on Hanamichi. She can heal by herself, and that's very important in a map where you can't really take a medic. It's mostly Irene that handles the crabs. When this map was first created, there weren't really any specifications as to how easy or hard the map was supposed to be, so I looked at the list of maps. There were a lot of really annoying ones, so I went for a more simpler type of bounty with simpler restrictions. For this map to be cleared quickly, I honestly wasn't that surprised given how I designed the map. Orchid and Elysium weren't deployed. There weren't any restrictions in how many operators you could bring, so just bring all of them.
As I think I mentioned before, this was the first set of maps we designed. And this was actually also the first map we designed. So I just decided to turn into hell for sniper knights. And the thing you would notice in most of the clears, if you watched all the solutions, was most of them made very heavy use of Firewatch. You can just solo any striker on the map. The casters don't stand a chance against her, and was overall the best unit probably for this map together with Rosa. Another thing that people really don't talk about Arquero is her shield. Tanking a hit when they hit like 3 shots and the shield makes 4 shots is just really useful for such an extreme condition. Probably the thing I wasn't expect on anyone that this clear brought to the table was a stalling for sniper. I was really shocked to see how he used Bros bounties there. He tried to do a stalling setup so he could bring Chalter and Rosa back in time for the last wave. So he just damaged the Emperor's Blade with Firewatch as much as possible and tried to delay his path with Rose Mounties as well. That allowed him to just stall him out as much as he could until he could deploy Chalter again. And this is like something all sniper players realize when trying this stage, is how good Rosa is. Specifically for this part, she can just kill any striker with 1 skill. So if you can manage to line all of them up inside the blue box, she just makes a joke out of them. Usually you just need to slow down or kill the middle striker like he did there with Chalter and Ash. It was honestly an amazing solution for this stage. I was really happy with the amount of variety that you can do with this bounty.
For bounties, we decided to embrace the theme of free. By what else other than having free operators being free themselves. The other restriction is to ban out all the human tasks to add interesting ways on dealing with the stage. Ways to clear these bounties are more or less divided into how to deal with these 3 parts. The first being the blindy kills, and then the furry skills, and lastly the boss stalls, or kill if you decided to burst them, I guess. On the blindy kills, here they decided to use Pivic and Gladia, which all offers range and control necessary for Tequila and Wishlash to deal enough damage to kill them. What's the most surprising to us is this furry skill, where they use Enforcer to push one of the furries into the other side, so that they can stall them using defenders. This was a very creative idea. Afterwards, the boss stall or kill is more or less a counting game, as you need to cycle between your operators to avoid Python Warp from hitting the claiming tasks.
This is a pretty interesting departure from the test clears that were done for this bounty. Most of the tests use Silver Ash and Golden Glow to kill phase 1 as soon as possible, but this clear delays the phase 1 kill for a later usage of SA that accomplishes a bit more.
It's always neat to see Axe Talon's leverage like this. Silver Ash is going to have difficulty killing that Ice Field Berserker leader without the buff and crowd control from Axe. Impressive leverage of Golden Glow RNG to slow down the Ice Field Berserker leaders. The additional slow makes Schwartz S3 the best DPS choice here.
This is Blaze's usage in high-level feelings. Not many cats can tank a Blizzard buff Dagonbreaker without help since she can ignore defense, so leveraging that invuln talent here is good play, especially with S1 since it's the best skill for this task. Ultimately, this solution is about what I expected. Some things surprised me a little bit, such as focusing more of the burst towards the end of the map rather than spreading it throughout, and some of the tech choices for damaging each of the 25% thresholds. It would have been nicer to see more lower rarity cat presence, but it's expected with both squad limit and the bulk of feline power being concentrated in the 6 stars.
They're just lucky it wasn't an easier bounty.